Hello! Welcome! Man, 2019 is almost over. Can't believe it. But here we are. And the 2010s are almost over, which is even crazier. 10 years of gaming. And I was going to play something this afternoon, and I thought, I already have a list written up of my favorite games of the decade. Why not count them down on stream? First off, shout out Game Attack. They do all these top 10, top 11 type streams, the top 11s, because they go to 11. They do those all the time, and they're fantastic. And this is nowhere near that level of production. I literally threw this together this morning. I already had the list, but trying to tweak a couple things on the stream so it would look kind of like a countdown show, but not really, because there's no production. But some of the inspiration comes from my boys over here at Game Attack. This was their convention last year, one night only. Give them some love, man. Game Attack team. Let's throw them a shout out. Twitch.tv Game Attack team. If you don't already follow those guys, you should. They're fantastic. And they do this for a living. Streaming games, entertaining people live on Twitch. It's what they do. So, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for them. They're the reason I got on Twitch in the first place. But back when they were Screw Attack. And I was still at Sega. So big shout out to my friends over there at Game Attack. Secondly, I was going to go live about 20 minutes ago, but my power went out. I was actually just booted up my computer about quarter to noon. So about 2.5 hours ago. And I was starting to set up my stream and everything, and the power died. It just turned on about 45 minutes ago. I was walking the dogs, and they had 2 trucks out there, and they got us up and running, so we're good to go. G1s represent for sure. What's up, Heavy Hand Swings? Thanks for stopping by, man. I'm going to show trailers for 10 games, and then I'll have some gameplay playing in the background while I'm talking about them. This is going to be a little janky, but I'm trying to have a conversation. Feel free to tell me how wrong I am. There are so many games I didn't play, and feel free to tell me in the chat where you think these games should rank. But I will be showing a trailer full screen, and then I will shut up and watch the trailer, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So I've got 10 games. Why don't we just get into it? Number 10. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to flip it over to desktop view. Bam. Number 10. You see that right there? See? Right there? Number 10. Up there. Oh, I lost my finger. All right. Number 10.
When I came here with my friends, we didn't have a care in the world. That was then. This is now. The savages on this island do unspeakable things.
It is brave to swim a storm, but to sunbathe on a beach with pirates? Insanity.
They torture. They murder. They have no remorse. And they're holding my friends captive.
Jason, you gotta get me out of here, man.
To be sold into slavery.
I wanna go home.
The only way off this island is to transform myself.
See anything you fancy?
Into something I never thought I could become. But it's not a question of whether my friends will survive.
I'll take your bloody if you like. I like my meat rare.
But how far I'm willing to go to get them back.
Your very own island! For the head of Jason Brody!
You are a warrior. You are Rakyat.
Up there, way up in the skies, you thought you had your finger on the trigger. But down here, you hit the ground.
Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3, let's talk a little bit about that game. Wow. I couldn't even begin to tell you how much fun this game is. Let me turn that. This was the first game that Ubisoft put out that was actually
Here's the camp.
Really think or put down my
Now for the alarm.
This is very impromptu, so I'm going to stutter and stammer my way through some things. But I want to try to hit on some gameplay lines down a little bit. Okay. You can tell how loud it was because my headset was a little loud. So, thank you. The trailer was a little loud, so we'll just. Thank you, Heavy Hands. Oh shit. Okay, I thought I had it muted, but when I mute, it actually blasts the gameplay at full volume. So that doesn't work. Okay, we'll just leave it on 2 then. Yeah, sorry. There's something weird with my setup where when I mute it, it blasts the volume like all the way up on YouTube videos. I don't know what the hell it's about. So, thanks guys. This was the first game that Ubisoft put out that had the towers that you climb. Well, from a first-person perspective shooter type game. They did it in Assassin's Creed 1, but in Assassin's Creed 2, which I think came before this. But this was a little different. This was something that I loved the feel of this game. You start out very underpowered, and you've got this huge jungle. You basically get to be Rambo, except as, you know, a frat boy who turns into a survivalist. And the story was better than I thought it would be. The second half of the game, they unlock something for you, and then there's a whole nother island the same size as the big one you were just on, south of you, that you didn't even know about until you finish half of the campaign. It was a total mind. I mean, I couldn't believe that I still had this whole. I thought they were going to give me something fun to play with, and then I would get to play with it on that first map. It unlocked the second half of the map. I didn't even know it was a thing. So, very innovative in that perspective. There was a 4-player co-op type of campaign thing you could do, or it was a multiplayer. I think Far Cry 4 had a co-op gameplay mode. It was kind of weird. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for the fact that this was so much fun to play. It was tongue-in-cheek at times when you could punch a shark in the face. All right, you're swimming and you have to skin different animals to make different wallets or different backpacks to be able to hold more ammunition. I mean, it's obviously everything's gamified, but to do it in a way that was funny, and there was random events that happened in this game all the time. Like, you had to clear out checkposts sometimes, and you had to there could be a bear that's in a cage, or like a cheetah or a lion or something, or some animal that they have in a cage. You could shoot the lock on the cage, and the animal would be free, and it would just run around through the entire area and just chomp on people. And so they're all trying to shoot the bear, and you could start sniping the guys who aren't looking, and you and the bear can clear out the whole area. There's so many different ways to do things. The fast travel was good. The vehicles controlled a little loose, but it was still pretty fun. When you get a wingsuit halfway through the game and you can just glide around, it was so much fun. And they took the wingsuit and put it early on in the first game, which I thought was really smart of them. So, South Dude's hosting my stream. Thank you. Appreciate the host, man. Let me catch up on chat. PTSD about needing stupid shots to survive. Yeah, dude. I'll probably just mute this then. Needing shots to survive was, yeah. You can craft things that would make you survive longer, that would increase your health bar, and I focused on those and ammunition, having more ammo reserves. I focused on those two things almost right from the start, and it helped a lot. I've played through this game twice, and I actually have a PC version that's booted up, and I'm like maybe 6 or 7 hours into. And every once in a while when I'm bored and I'm not streaming or anything, and I just feel like getting in and playing something dumb for an hour, I get in and play this, and I just have a blast. It's so much fun. And it was on the 360. The graphics were pretty good. If you could play, and I know they did a remastered version, I think, for PS4 and Xbox One, I think. Don't quote me. But it's on PC, and it still runs really well. It looks great, and it's fun. Far Cry 2. You are thinking of Far Cry 2, Heavy Hand Swings. Yes. Far Cry 2, your character has malaria through the entire game, and it's super annoying. Oh my god, it's annoying. But the other thing I hated about Far Cry 2 was when you clear out a checkpoint, you could leave and come back 2 minutes later, and it's taken over again. Like, enemies randomly spawned into the checkpoints, so you never really cleared a checkpoint. That was a problem that they fixed with Far Cry 3, for sure. Yes, this is actually the full review of every Far Cry game ever made. Climbing towers was kind of like a puzzle solving thing, because each tower, to open up parts of the map, there was a different kind of puzzle. Sometimes you had to find your way up to the top, and you felt a small sense of accomplishment every time you got to the top. So really, really love this game. See right there, that's the only part of the map that's visible, but if you climb more towers, you can open up more of that map so you can see things. You can still walk around and not have to climb towers, but that shows you where some treasure is and things like that. So, all right, that was Far Cry 3. Where are we on my list? Number 10, Far Cry 3. Bam. All right. Number 9. Did it change? Did it change over? Did it work? Oh, my counter's working. You can see it's the Dark Souls font. It's the same counter that I used for my death count for when I was doing my Dark Souls streams. All right, number 9.
Listen to me. We don't want to kill any of you. But trust me, we will. Wake them up a little!
This whole thing is pretty much done. We're more ghosts than people.
You have got to keep faith. They will not crush us.
Good old Dutch. My best friend. You know how we met? A pair of hucksters trying to rob each other. back in 78 or thereabouts.
You have to love yourself a fire. It's one of the blessings. Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Sons of Dutch. Makes us brothers. Sometimes, brothers make mistakes.
You'll never change. I know that.
All of you venerate savagery. And you will die savagely.
Get out here! Stay strong. Stay with me. You have to love yourself a fire.
Oh.
Yet rated.
So good. Red Dead Redemption 2. Listen, I know it just came out on PC. I know there's a lot of people that are just now playing it for the first time. It came out a year ago on PS4 and Xbox One, and I figured they would find a way to put it on PC, but I didn't know when. They never did put Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC, which I thought was a little odd. So the fact that they put everything they had into porting this into PC, still confusing, but I guess they've, for as many, a little behind on laundry, especially with the power being out for about 3 hours here, but we're back. And I tell you, Salve Dude, you gotta have faith, Arthur. This game started out really slow for me. I put 8 to 10 to 12 hours into it, and I was just kind of going through the motions. I love the story, I love the setup, but you're spending time with different characters, and you don't really get to spend a lot of time with any one of them. But that's all by design, and you figure it out later on that you spend more time with these characters as you play the game, and you start to care for them, kind of like they're in your party, like they're in your family. And towards the end of the game in the campaign, something happens with your character, and I don't want to spoil it. I wasn't doing any of the side missions. I was just thinking, I'm going to plow through this, I'm going to finish it. And this was early in the year. This was back in February or March when I said, okay, I'm done. I've got to play this game. I had it on my list at the end of the year because I was enjoying it, but it was just a slog. I put more time into it. I put my head down and I just focused on it. I played it a bunch. And then something happens with the lead character late in the game, and it made me decide I want to play every side mission. I want to do every stranger mission where you meet strangers and do things for them. And some of the best writing is in some of the stranger missions. I couldn't believe it. So I don't know that I want to say this is my favorite Rockstar game of all time. I don't know that I can say that. But I will say that it is one of the best Rockstar games, and it's the best Western game. There's no second place. I mean, second place is Red Dead Redemption 1, but the controls are a little janky. It takes time to get used to them. My other choice, if I had to pick a Rockstar game that is my favorite, this is the best Rockstar game. But for me, best and favorite are two different things. So to say my favorite is probably going to be GTA 3. GTA 3 came out at a time when it was so... Open world games weren't really a thing. And I remember reading previews of Grand Theft Auto 3 and thinking, if this is going to be as good as it looks, this is going to just blow the doors off of everything that I get to go and do. Because I liked playing Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, but I hated the overhead view. To be able to do it in an over-the-shoulder third-person open-world game, it changed the game in so many ways. It's one of the most influential games maybe ever made. So, and I put so many hours into playing that game. So Grand Theft Auto 3 for me would probably be my favorite Rockstar game of all time. This one's second. It has to be. Towers are cool. Sarcasm is good. Yeah, actually... Yeah. I'm surprised, Heavy Hand Swings, I'm surprised you didn't go in there and say that I put in Barbie Horse Adventures as my number 10. How's it going, Joe? All right. So, number 9 Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay. It's a great game. It just know that if you have never played it before, if you're going to play the campaign, give it time. Know that it's going to take you 10 hours to really get to where you know the characters and you feel comfortable with the controls, and pick a horse and stick with it as long as you can. You don't need the best horse in the game. You don't need to go up to the north and try to get one of those crazy Arabian snow horses or whatever. Just pick a horse and stick with it. It will get better as you ride with it. And then there's something that happens in the ending. You get an extra little mini cutscene if you have full bonding with your horse. And I was still a little verklempt thinking about it. All right. Number 8. No, it's not for you, heading in.
Incoming. Prepare your defenses.
Get behind!
Locked and loaded.
Prepare to attack. 3, 2, 1. Capture the objective.
Let's do it! Let's try that again. Welcome to my reality. Turret deployed. Teleporter online. Farah reporting. Justice reigns from above.
The dragon hungers. The objective is mine. Perfect.
Objective captured.
See through the dragon's eyes. Time to reap.
I didn't realize this trailer's almost 6 minutes long. I thought I was picking what was a gameplay, an actual like launch trailer, and it was a gameplay trailer instead. So we'll just do that. Overwatch. Wow. When this game came out, it was so much better than I had anticipated. And it was my number 1 of that year. It was my number 1 game of that year. I loved Team Fortress 2. I played a ton of Team Fortress 2. This game, to me, was like Team Fortress 2.8. I don't want to say Team Fortress 3. They took and added more characters and constantly worked on the balance. And at the time of launch, it was so well polished. They'd spent how many years in beta with this game? And it was a long-running beta. It was easy to get into. I wasn't really sold on the concept. I thought the graphics were kind of cartoony and everything, and it's a Blizzard game, so I'm still thinking Blizzard. I'm thinking World of Warcraft and Diablo and all that. And no, they're going to make a first-person shooter. They did make a first-person shooter. They made a great first-person shooter. It really is something. It's the fact that it's not only still extremely popular. Ask Heavy Handswings. He plays it all the time. And Episky as well. They play a ton of comp in this. Goes to show how well they've supported this game over the past few years. And there's a pro league for it, and it's huge. And there's hundreds of thousands of people watching their streams every single time there's a professional tournament. So, they took from a very good game and they added on top of it. So standing on the shoulders of giants, if you want to say. But Team Fortress 2 is a fantastic game, and this is a fantastic game, maybe even just a tiny bit better. And I know that's going to be blasphemy for some of my friends, but I do think it is a better game. Now, I don't still play this game anymore. I kind of got burned out on it after a couple years, and I've uninstalled because it installed patches like every other day, which means they're supporting it, right? It's a great thing. But that's the same thing for Team Fortress 2. I don't have that installed anymore. If I went back and reinstalled it and started playing it, I would have so much fun. And this game, it's like that as well. I can have a lot of fun if I just hop in and start playing this again. I just haven't kept up with it. I haven't been keeping up the meta or the new characters. But I'll say this was $60 well spent, and there's a reason why it's still one of the most played shooters anywhere ever. So, okay, let me look at the chat real quick. Yes, that was not for you, Heavy Hand Swings. That was not for you, but it was for me. And that was old gameplay. This is an old gameplay trailer from 2016. So, yes, Notable Joe, the gameplay is way more of a clusterfuck, but it is because that trailer was just trying to show off each one of the characters and what they can do. So that was not meant to be a full gameplay trailer. This is more like gameplay. This was gameplay, you know, right after the game came out, or maybe was it 2016 when this came out, or 2015? It's been out for a few years. The meta shift is bringing Hanzo back as a main DPS. Ooh, okay. Could have used your gameplay. I had about 2 minutes to pull these links together before I went live because my power went out, and I was out without power for 2.5, almost 3 hours. So what I was planning on doing was pulling some gameplay and things. And well, no, I'm not kidding. I wouldn't have used your gameplay anyway. All right, there we go. I play it, but I'm angry the whole time. If a game starts making me mad, I tend to stop playing it. It's just, as I've gotten older, I've had less of an attention span. But the problem is, it's hard to blame the game when I screw up. It's usually my fault. And in this case, it's usually my fault when I die. Usually. All right. That was number 8. Bringing the picture up. For those who, if you just came in late, there's my ranking so far. All right. Can I close that up a little bit more? Oh, I don't want to shrink it. Overwatch. It's a fantastic game. Even though I haven't kept up with it, it is still a wonderful, wonderful game. All right. Next up. Number 7. Portal 2! This isn't the greatest puzzle game of all time. That's Tetris, right? Everyone knows that. I'm not even gonna try to tell you that it's the best or greatest puzzle game of all time. Is it the second best puzzle game of all time? For me, it is. And I think it has you thinking in ways and makes you feel so smart at times. And sometimes you get stuck in an area and you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. The blue and orange portals of where you can place them, and using gravity to launch you across wide distances and everything, that all was introduced in the first Portal. And the first Portal was a fantastic game. And when Valve put out the orange box, it had Portal in it, and I'd read enough previews about the orange box to think, I'm going to have to play that first. I wanted to play episode 2, on Half-Life 2, which Half-Life 2 is one of my top 5 games ever. But I had to play Portal, and I played Portal that first night, that Tuesday after the Orange Box came out. I played the entire thing. I beat it in about 2.5 to 3 hours. It's a short game. It was incredible. It blew my mind. I have played through the first Portal maybe 3 or 4 times now. Portal 2, I have also played through maybe 3 or 4 times. I've done the co-op, almost finished it a second time. Jayla and I actually were playing the co-op, and we got to a point to where we kind of got stuck. There's one really hard puzzle that I get stuck on every time in the co-op, and we got stuck on it again and never went back to it. But GLaDOS is a great antagonist, like you say, Notable Joe, and she is so brilliantly voiced, and the writing is so sardonic and dry and fantastic, and she's just as good in this, if not better, than she was in the first Portal. Wheatley is a new robot that's in it, and it's Stephen Merchant does the voice of Wheatley, and Wheatley is perfect, especially later in the game when he gets some power all of a sudden. And I love Wheatley. I actually do I have him, or is he at my office? I've got a Wheatley doll. I'm gonna find him. Give me a second. Wheatley, where are you? He's back in my other game. He's back in my game room in the back of the house. So I have a stuffed Wheatley doll. And everyone's got a companion cube, and that was such a big thing when the first game came out. But this took the original concept and it built upon it, and it fleshed out more of the story, especially once you find out what's below the facility. I don't want to spoil it. The game is $1 on Steam right now, by the way. Go on Steam, buy this. It is $1. There's no reason for you to have never played this. It is a fantastic puzzle game. It works for casuals and hardcores. It's one of the few games that pleases both. And the writing's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this game. It wasn't my number 1 of that year, but it was high on the list. And the other thing is, because I make a list every year, this game wasn't my number 1 that year, but this list of the decade is meant to be what has held up really well, the test of time. This game has held up to the test of time and has only gotten better as time moves on. Let me catch up on chat. Greatest games ever made. Had the incredible ability to help Apisky play these games for the first time a couple months ago. Really? So when you were here in Dallas, she never played them before? They're just so much fun. They have so much wit and heart, and they're difficult. They take time to figure things out. I love them. The level you have to catch each other. There's a co-op level that's super difficult, and I don't remember what it was. It's something about the timing that you both have to be perfect, and when you're in the air at different times. It's past where you're talking about. That's something they introduced early on, and it only gets worse. So, Portal 2, it's $1 on Steam. Go get it if you haven't played it. Or if you've played it on console and you want it on PC, get it on PC. The other thing I want to mention about this, speaking of PC, Steam Workshop, there are literally thousands and thousands of user-created levels, and you can look at the ones that are the highest rated, and some of them are better than anything in the core game. It's astounding. You could play this for the rest of your life and not get tired of it. And if I had to pick one game to play for the rest of my life, I don't know that this is it, but it's on the short list because of those user-created levels. And you don't have to be some computer genius to figure out how to install the mods. They're super easy to install. It's part of Steam Workshop. Steam Workshop is a wonderful service. So, okay, that's Portal 2. That's my number 7 for the 2010s, and this came out in 2011, I think. All right, number 6.
Support up here now! It's ours! Line them up!
Man, get your stupid little pop-up off the screen. What's that about? What's that about? Battlefield Bad Company 2. Oh, number 6. It's only number 6? What? There must be 5 really great games ahead of this. Because this is one of my favorite multiplayer shooters of all time. I would say Call of Duty 4 is number 1, and this is number 2. It's the best Battlefield game ever made. It was fun. It had a sense of humor. Unlike a lot of the other Battlefield games after it that take themselves too seriously, this didn't take itself too seriously. This also had level destruction. You could flatten houses with mortar fire, with C4, and you could use it as a strategy. There would be houses that had a base that you had to capture, an MCOM station that you had to blow up, and you either have to sit and charge it for a certain amount of time, or put enough C4 or rockets into it, or you could just take the whole house down with tank shells, with C4, with mortar strikes, and the house just crumbles, and if you're in the house, you die. It feels so good. You also can't lay down. So if you're sniping, you've got to be crouched or standing. So sniping is very valid. It feels great. The sound of the crack of the sniper rifle bullets, so visceral. But it's not as easy to just lay in the grass and snipe all day. You actually kind of have to expose yourself. And that's something that I hated at first, but the more Battlefield I've played since, the more I really respect that, and I wish some games would go that way. I don't know that they would ever go back to doing that with a Battlefield game, but it's so much fun. There's still servers that are live on PC right now. Every once in a while, I'll bust this out. And every single time I bust it out and we play it, or even if I play by myself, I have a blast. I'm smiling. I'm having a good time. This is not a game to play. You can't be in a bad mood and play this game. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. Unless you don't like playing shooters, in which case, why are you my friend? I would love a Bad Company 3. I really would. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, because I honestly think it would have happened by now. But I'm sure the people at DICE have heard from their fans for, 8 years now. Make Bad Company 3, please. Battlefield 4 was a great game. It is still a great game. I still play it. It launched broken as hell. This game launched in March, so it wasn't like a big Keystone title. It was my favorite game of that year, and it is still one of my favorite multiplayer shooters of all time. Chat. Salve, dude, need a third one. Please, dude, give me a remastered version of this one in like the new DICE engine, in one of the new Frostbite engine. Give me a remastered version of this. I'd pay for it. I wouldn't pay 60. I'd pay like 30, and I'd play the campaign again too. I've played through the campaign a couple times. The campaign's fun. I still buy them when they come out. Yeah, every Battlefield though, and man, Battlefield 1. I'm gonna, unless they do something different with the next Battlefield, I'm gonna take some time off from Battlefield, from buying a new Battlefield game, and that's sad to me, because like you, every Battlefield game I've got to have it. Battlefield 1 kind of killed it for me. I'm tired of World War II. World War 1 wasn't very fun, and Battlefield 4 was great, but it launched broken. It's great now, but it was so broken at launch. This game worked perfectly at launch. Like, there was a couple of things with the balance of some of the weapons that they tweaked, but it worked really well even at launch. Reinstalling the newest one now for Firestorm. No, you're not. No, this was not. This was 2010 or 2000. Hang on a second. Hey, Google. When did Battlefield Bad Company 2 come out? Hey, Google. Hey, Google. When did Battlefield Bad Company 2 release?
Battlefield Bad Company 2's initial release date is March 2nd, 2010.
2010. So it makes it under the wire by just a few months. Notable Joe, I exposed myself sniping in this game. No, okay, Joe. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for contributing. Battlefield 1 was bad. 5 hasn't been great, but I haven't really touched it. Yeah, Battlefield 1 was the World War 1. Battlefield 5 was World War 2. They play fine. The maps are okay. I just... Give me Bad Company 2 remastered, or give me Bad Company 3, and I would love you forever. I already love DICE. All right? I love them. Come on! All right. Next is number 5, and let's take a look. Hey, so here's the list. Bad Company 2. All right, we're getting to the top 5 now, folks. If you need to take a break, grab a soda, something to drink, help yourself. I'm not going to stop. I'm just saying, go ahead and do what you need to do. Number 5. Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Binding of Isaac is a roguelike. It's my favorite roguelike ever, and there's not even a second place. Like, there's not. I remember I was sitting at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and we were getting ready to go to E3, and some folks from Gearbox were there as well. They were on my plane. And Chris Taylor, who was one of the community managers at the time, was playing this on a MacBook Air while we were sitting there waiting for the plane. And I remember watching over his shoulder, and he was playing the original, by the way, not Rebirth. He was playing the Flash version that you could get on Steam for like, you know, $5 or whatever. I think I got it for 74 cents originally when it first came out, because it was on a Steam sale, and I thought, I remember seeing Chris play that. I'll go ahead and give it a try. But it looked like it's Zelda dungeons, but everything is really random, and I didn't understand it. I'd never played a roguelike before, and then I played this. And I played maybe 30 or 40 hours of the Flash version. I enjoyed it, but it was arrow keys. Like, it didn't have controller support. And that got old to me after a while. I still played 30 or 40 hours of it. Then came Rebirth, and it was free on PlayStation 4. It was a free PlayStation Plus game for that month. Between PlayStation 4 and the PS Vita, which they had cross-save, you could stop in the middle of a game, upload your save to the cloud, take your Vita with you somewhere, download that save, and play from exactly where you were. And they both ran 60 frames a second. They were smooth, and the randomness of the items and the way you can get so overpowered when you're playing some of these levels, or some of these runs. Run your sets, right? Also, I watched a lot of shout out to Dan Giesling. He streamed a ton of this. When he first started Twitch streaming, he played a ton of this game. And it got me back into the habit of wanting to play it. But it came out on PS4 not too long after. On the PS4 and the Vita combined, I probably put about 300 to 350 hours on it. I'm not kidding. There was 2 trophies left that were glitched that I could not get. And one of them I should have gotten. I didn't. And because of a glitch, I couldn't. I was trying to 100% and platinum that game. It was my focus for months. I still can go back and play this. I haven't streamed it in a really long time because I don't know that it's something that it streams really well all that much for. I mean, it kind of does if you're someone who plays it on a regular basis. And you know, last time you watched me, I was trying to get this thing knocked out. Now I'm doing this as just a random stream game. I don't know that it would be a very watchable thing for me, but I could sit and play this for hours, never get bored of it. It's fun. Some of the power-ups and the weapons that you unlock are incredible. being able to vomit blood, and starting as a character who starts out and who can vomit blood, but you can extend the length of that. Or there's power-ups where you can make it cover half the screen. And this is not a game watching the gameplay that I would have ever thought that I liked it, and I ended up loving it. So that's Binding of Isaac Rebirth. They've done a couple of not patches, they've done a couple of expansions. Afterbirth Plus, which apparently is really hard. And if you've never played these games, you should give them a shot. See it on a sale, pick it up. I'm not big into roguelikes. This game is incredible. All right, that's Binding of Isaac Rebirth. I don't know that this was my number 1 that year. No, it wasn't. It was like 2 or 3. Notable Joe. Oh, Bumbo. No, I watched a couple people stream Bumbo. I don't know about that one. It's the same dev, but I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. I guess I need to see some more gameplay before I make a decision on Bumbo. The other problem is I didn't stream this a whole lot because it didn't like OBS. So I'd be streaming it, and OBS, it would just like flicker sometimes, and it would be in this weird aspect ratio, and I couldn't get it to work full screen, and I was having all these problems with it. So I didn't stream it for quite some time, back when I was playing it more regularly. But right now I could go back in and install it and play it, and I would just zone out and have a great time and get really sweaty palms when I'm at the last levels. And all the hidden stuff in this game, there's so many hidden things in this game. There's a wiki for it, and I had it on my phone for the longest time because I'm like, what does this item do? What if I combine this item with this item? I don't play games like that. I don't typically get into games that are very much about item management and things. This game was that exception. So, all right, that was number 5, Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Chat. I can't get Isaac to install and launch though. What? Rebirth, right? Number 4, here we go. We're getting close to the end.
Oh, there do I see my mother. Oh, there do I see my father. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me. Oh, there do they call to me.
That bow's a little big for you, isn't it?
My mother made it for me. Said I'd grow into it.
Find your way home. You are free.
We're taking our ashes to the highest peak in the realms.
Ashes?
It was our last wish.
Where must we go?
To a realm beyond your own.
There's only one person who can get you where you need to go. They call me Mimir, smartest man alive. First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
That axe you got. You gotta handle her special.
I know you're a god. Not of this realm, but there's no mistaking it. He doesn't know, does he? About your true nature? Or his own?
The longer you wait, the more damage you do. He will resent you, and you may lose him forever.
You're next! I'll rip your head off!
There are consequences to killing a god.
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Power. This weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By discipline. The self-control of the one who wields it.
Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
kill something that big?
Pre-order and get 3 shield skins for in-game.
I screwed up. That was number 4. I forgot to hit my my thing. Number 4 is God of War on the PS4. I had low expectations for this game. I did. I was not expecting much. I love God of War 1. It's a fantastic game on the PS2. God of War 2 came out and gave us more of the same, a couple of different weapons, more of a sense of scale. And that was one of the great things about those games. They felt so huge. And the fact that you're on the back of a Titan and you're doing all these things on the back of a moving level. And in the second one with the horses, the gigantic horses that you're running up and down these things. And it's just, I love the sense of scale in those games. God of War 3, I was rooting for Kratos as a character in the first 2 games. In God of War 3, he's just kind of a pissy little bitch. he's mad and I'm coming to kill you, Dad. And it got annoying, and I didn't finish it. I bought it again when it was on PS4 remastered, and I played a little bit of it, and I'll probably finish it at some point. It's just not high on my list of priorities. And God of War Ascension came out, which is really unnecessary, but it was capitalizing. Strike while the iron's hot. Then some time passes, and this game comes out, and I mean, I see the gameplay demo at E3, which is kind of what this is here in the background that you can see. And I'm thinking, are they gonna nail this? And they did. They nailed it. They nailed it. They nailed it. The feel of the combat, the axe combat. There's other weapons you get later in the game. One that I don't want to spoil too much that's actually really cool, and being able to alternate between some of those weapons. Leveling up it's like most combat games, but one thing I want to comment on real quick while you're seeing this gameplay combat with the axe. There's a video that shows exactly why it feels so satisfying. Most games, combat games, third-person action games, when you're swinging a melee weapon, it's the same motion as you're hitting someone, and that person reacts, but you're still doing the same motion. In this, they set it to where the axe reacts when it hits someone. So it feels so chunky and good that you're hitting something as you're going through them, and it changes direction and it slows a little bit as you're swinging through someone. It feels incredible, and the sense of scale is enormous. The graphics are so sharp and crisp, and I played this on a normal PS4. I didn't play it on a PS4 Pro. I don't know that it's not 60 frames per second if you play it on Pro, but it will do up to 4K. The story's great. It was over 20 hours, and it didn't ever feel long to me. When it ended, I was ready for it to end exactly then. And the ending is, it's so freaking cool. I loved it. I love this game. I could go back and play it right now. I never wanted 100% it because there's 2 other areas that are like challenge areas that open up after you beat the game, and there's a lot you can still do. But I did a ton of the side missions in this, so I put 25 to 30 hours into it before I actually finished it, and I never got bored. And I loved the story. I wanted to see what happened with these 2 characters, the side characters. It was like reading a good book, and it respected the story from the previous games while taking it from Greek mythology into Norse mythology. I didn't think they could do it. I thought that was biting off a lot, but I believe the guy who made God of War 2, Cory Balrog, he made this game as well, and hats off to him. It is a phenomenal game. It's a reason to own a PlayStation 4. It really is. Oh, yeah, love that. 4/20 release date. All right. So that was God of War 4. Sorry. Technically, it's number 4 on my list, but it kind of is God of War 4. But they call it God of War, even though there's already a game called God of War. I hate when they do that. All right. Number 3. Top 3 coming up now. Rocket League. Wow. 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 What a save! What a save. Listen, I have put more time into this on PS4, on the Nintendo Switch, and on PC than maybe almost every multiplayer shooter I've ever played. I'm not any better at it, but I still love it. I originally installed this. It was free on PlayStation 4, on PSN, PlayStation Network Plus, or whatever they call it. It was free. I added it to my account. I played it a couple of times. I didn't understand it. And then a guy who I used to work with when I was a Sega sales rep, and he was a buyer at GameStop, he's like, man, you got to give that another try. Get on and play with me and a couple buddies sometime. We'll play with you, and we'll show you how to play. I got in with him and play. I reinstalled it. I got in and played with him, and it clicked. And it has never stopped clicking. It just continues to click. It's so satisfying. It's fun. You can play it and not be any good at it and still have fun. And I think that is such a testament to how simple the gameplay is to understand, but it's so incredibly difficult to master. Watching pros play this game almost makes me sick to my stomach, the way they're able to just fly around at will and hit these aerial shots that are... It blows my mind, and I love watching pros play this game, because it shows that if you really put that kind of time into it, you can be that good. I'll never be that good. I don't care enough to be that good, but I care enough to have fun and to play it and enjoy it. It's something that Squad Stupid still plays constantly. Heavy Hand Swings, I know you played this game way more than any of the rest of us for a long time. It was your addiction for quite some time. It's never been a game that I have to play constantly, but I always know that I can pick it up. If I've got 15 minutes and I want to play something, there's not a lot you can play in 15 minutes. Hell, you can't even get to the loading screen in some games in 15 minutes, or a lobby in 15 minutes. You can knock out 2 games of Rocket League and then go about your day. Or you can play it for 4 hours. It's up to you. And that versatility is what makes this game so incredible, and it's why I think I had it ranked pretty low on my year-end list that year, or I'm pretty sure I had it on my list. It is one of my favorite games of the last decade because of its longevity and the way that it has only improved as I've played it more. I will say it's not perfect. There's still, when Epic does Rocket League 2, which they will eventually, they've got to have dedicated servers. The fact that this still has peer-to-peer servers is frustrating beyond belief, and there's lag in every game where you get server lag, where whoever the host is having a drop somewhere in their connection. It happens almost every single game on PC, and it's not my connection, it's not the graphics, it's nothing. It happens to a lot of people all the time. I really hope they have dedicated servers in Rocket League 2. If they do, it's a day one purchase. If they don't, I guess I'm gonna have to be that guy with a picket sign outside of the offices of Epic and complain, because there's so much to love in this game, and I'm excited for the sequel. I don't know how they're gonna make a sequel that's going to grow on this without making it overcomplicated. I'm really confused on how they're going to do that. And they've never announced Rocket League 2. I'm just assuming that they'll do that at some point. So, hey Jelly, how are you? By the way, I forgot to say hi earlier when you came in, but I was showing a trailer. That was number 3. We got 2 left. We got 2 left. I don't think they will. They already ruined the crate system with blueprints. Player numbers have dropped since it flipped to Epic. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're still supporting it on every other platform is good. But I don't know. Maybe they're just going to keep banking the money they make from things. I think the blueprint thing has... I respect the decision, but I also understand why. I haven't bought a single blueprint since, so... Alright. And I used to pay to open crates. I kind of gave up on those. I've probably got 40 or 50 crates just sitting there. Heavy Hand Swings, you probably have a couple hundred. We got 2 left. Before we get into this, I'm going to BRB because it is thundering outside and my dog needs her thunder shirt. She's a poor, sad, scaredy dog. But we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Would you like to know more?
stupid, a person below normal intelligence.
Alright, we're back. Sorry, my poor Freya pup, she's scared of thunder, and it's been raining here pretty much all day. So, here she is now. She's trying to hide under my desk. Aw, you poor thing. So I've got this, it's called the Thunder shirt, and I put it over her. Otherwise, she's pacing like crazy, starts drooling, like she's so scared of thunder. She's alright. Alright, you like the shirt, Jelly? Alright, hey. When I first started the stream, I threw a quick shout out to these guys because they're the reason they do top 11 videos every Tuesday morning. So top 11 lists. I already make I've made lists for over 10 years now of my favorite games of each year and favorite movies and favorite albums. But I wanted to do one for the decade, for the top 10. So that's what I'm doing here. And oh, Freya. Oh, her tail is so tucked. You poor thing. She's so scared. Love my boys in Game Attack. Shout out. They're grinding constantly. They're going to be back on Monday. They took the week off. It's the first time they've had a week off in over 2 years. So big love to my boys in Game Attack. So, all right. Let me catch up on chat. They already... Get your t-shirts here. Yes, we are in a top 2 situation. And yes, Heavy Hand Swings, you're absolutely right. Thank you for everyone who's hanging out right now and watching the stream. I got 2 left. 2 games left on my top 10 of the decade. So we'll do a recap once we get to through number 2. But right now, am I on number 2? Do I need to set it to number 2? I'm on 3. There's 2. All right. You know what number 2 is? All right. Say it. What do you think it is? I want to see your prediction for number 2, Heavy Hand Swings. Oh, you're both wrong.
You should have acted. They're already here. The Elder Scrolls told of their return. Their defeat was merely a delay. To the time after Oblivion opened. When the Sons of Skyrim would spill their own blood. But no one wanted to believe. Believe they even existed. And when the truth finally dawns, it dawns in fire. But there's one they fear. In their tongue, he's Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
11, 11, 11. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, my number 2. Let's talk about it a little bit. I will say that Heavy Hand Swings, you said exactly what I thought when Notable Joe said, why isn't this my number 1? This has better graphics, better controls, better dungeon designs, and probably better mod support by far because of the Steam Workshop than Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. But Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is still a better game to me because of the soundtrack, because the writing is so much better. The main quest in this is okay. The main quest and all of the major side quests of the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, they are... The Dark Brotherhood quest is in Oblivion is better than anything that's in Skyrim. Now, I say that with so much respect because Skyrim and Oblivion are so close. I mean, we're talking about a 9.9 and a 9.8. I mean, to say it's better, we're really kind of... It's not like one sucks and the other one's great. They're both incredible games. I've bought this on 3 platforms. One of them is my screen on my fridge. Screw you, Heavy Hand Swings. I bought it on originally on Xbox 360, and that's where I played all the DLC. Same with Oblivion. Oblivion I had on 360 thanks to my friend Sean, who I'm going to see tomorrow night. He's coming into town from Chicago. He's the one who got me to play Oblivion. I never played Morrowind. He handed me a copy because we were both game buyers at Blockbuster. He got in a copy of the collector's edition, which is like $70, $79 or whatever, and it came with a coin and a map. He gave me this and he said, "You play this weekend. I don't want to hear shit from you." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you're a bunch of elves and swords and sorcery bullshit." Then I played it and I came in Monday morning like, "Oh my god, dude! Oh my god!" And we talked about the damn game all day. That was Oblivion. I was so excited for Skyrim. And it was incredible. It really was. Is it the best Bethesda game? I have a place in my heart for Oblivion. When I hear the music in Oblivion, I have the soundtrack on my phone. Sometimes I'm driving in my car and I've got the whole thing, my whole list on random play, and that comes up, like a song from that, and I'm back in a dungeon in Oblivion. So I don't want to make this about Oblivion. Oblivion is my favorite between these two. Oblivion didn't come out in this decade. This did. And I own it on the Switch. I own it on the Xbox 360. And I own it on PC. Here's a reason why you should buy this. If you're a fan of Oblivion, there's a company, well, it's not a company, it's a bunch of modders that are working together to make Skyblivion. So they're taking the Skyrim engine, heavily modded, and they are recreating Oblivion. All the questing, all the side missions. They've redone all the voice acting. It is mind-blowing. They've been working on this for like 3 or 4 years, and they're probably still another year or 2 off. But when that comes out, I am playing that like nobody's business. And I have Oblivion installed right now. I can play Oblivion right now. I've streamed it a little while ago. I don't know why this gameplay is boring. Let's get out in the open. Go shoot some stuff. Seriously, skip around. What am I doing? The level of freedom in this game was unlike anything most people had ever seen. And this game outsold Oblivion. So let's be fair about that. This was a true AAA, and it deserved all of the credit that it got for being so innovative for a lot of people. It improved some of the things about complaints people had about Oblivion, and in a lot of ways, it is a better game. It's just not my favorite if I had to compare the two. But again, we're talking like a 9.9 and a 9.8. The Dragon Shout stuff was incredible. It was so much fun to knock people off of cliffs. And it's fantastic. It is one of the best open world games ever made. All right, let's look at the chat. Morrowind was the best, but it hasn't aged well. That's true. I reinstalled Morrowind a few years ago, just giving it a try, and I've installed all these mods, and it has not aged well at all. I would love to play Morrowind and see it with the eyes of from the time when it first came out. And that ship has sailed. So when people tell me Morrowind is their favorite in the series, I go, yeah, I totally get it. It's not mine because I didn't get to play it until way too late. And when I played it, I mean, no fast travel. You have to basically go ride on those like Strider things to get around and stuff. And it's so dated now, where Oblivion doesn't feel quite as dated other than the graphics. You own it on PS4 and Xbox One? You own it on 5 platforms. My God. So if you have Skyrim Legendary Edition the Skyrim with all the DLC, you have to have Oblivion, the Game of the Year edition or whatever that has all the DLC. If you own both of those on PC, you will be able to install the Skyblivion mod when it drops, and it won't cost you a dime. And it's going to be hundreds of hours, and I'm going to play it, and I'm going to replay Skyrim or Oblivion on it, and it's going to be fantastic. Skyrim changed the world of RPGs in a tangible way, but Skyrim wouldn't have been shit without Oblivion before it. I mean, you can go, Morrowind, then Oblivion on top of it, Skyrim on top of it. We're all splitting hairs. There are people who are going to say Morrowind's the best. There are people who will say Oblivion's the best. There are people who will say Skyrim's the best. I think Fallout 3 is a fantastic open world game. It's probably my favorite, more so than this game even. But that one came out last decade. It was like 08 or 09. I've bought it every way I had access to. Yes. It's still Strider. Okay, thank you. Elder Scrolls have been setting the bar for RPGs since Arena. Yep, they have. Heavy hand swings. I just saw someone was putting all of Fallout 3 in New Vegas and Fallout 4. You put what? Fallout 3 hasn't aged as well. Fallout 4 was a great game mostly. I hated that they made you do some of the base building stuff. I don't want to do that. Just let me run around and explore blown out, post-nuclear apocalypse stuff. Just let me do that. Hey, Google, when did Fallout 3 come out?
This is from Wikipedia.
2008. October 28, 2008. You're thinking Fallout 4. And Fallout 4 can't carry Skyrim's jockstrap. All right, let's be honest. Oblivion on PC, if it's usually on sale, the Game of the Year edition. Like right now, it's probably $5. I don't have Steam open, but it probably is. New Vegas was after Fallout 3, and New Vegas was a game that at launch I played it, and it was really buggy, and the faction stuff was broken. I signed up with the NCR because the very first companion I found was that sniper dude with the sunglasses. But when you do that, it basically is a middle finger to all the other factions that don't like the NCR. I wanted to ultimately join the Slavers with Caesar's gang, because I wanted to be an evil son of a bitch. I wanted to run with the assholes, and they all were like, "Go away, milk drinker," or whatever they said in Fallout. Milk drinkers, this game, they hated that I ran with that guy for a while. I'm like, "I'll go kill him right now. I want to roll with you." So I guess they patched that later on, but it kind of killed it for me. The other thing is, Fallout New Vegas wasn't nearly as long of a game. I went all around the outskirts and did all the missions I could before I had to get into Vegas. And then when I got into Vegas, there's 2 load screens. You have to get into this inner area, and then you have to go through another load screen to get into Vegas itself. And I just wasn't really that crazy about the Vegas stuff in it. So some of the story is fantastic. I love the main quest. It's really good. But I don't want to say 100% of the game, but I finished it in about 50 hours, where these games, Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, I put over 100 hours into each of those. 150 maybe on some of them. So load into the parking lot, load into the casinos. That's pretty much what it was. Now, by the way, I do believe there's a mod for Skyrim that you can basically remove the doors on PC. So when you open a door, you're immediately inside. So there's no load times. But if you're playing it with it on an SSD, the load times on PC are like that. I mean, I played a little bit of Skyrim on PC a while back, and it loaded so fast I didn't even notice that you're in transitioning. It's like, and you're in the inside the building already. So, all right, that's enough about this. That was my number 2. Finally, number 1. And for anyone who knows me, this one might not be a big surprise. But until we get into it, let's count down. Number 10, Far Cry 3. A fantastic open world shooter. It's very much a power fantasy. And the way you start out as this trust fund baby and end up becoming Rambo, and the wingsuit, and jumping off of towers and ziplining around and being able to go into caves and explore and come out with loot, very much like Skyrim with guns. I mean, that was a fair review point. Red Dead Redemption 2 is my number 9. The best Western game ever made. There's no second place. Takes about 10 hours to really get into it and enjoy it, but it is one of the best stories of any video game of this console generation, for sure. And the fact that they just put it out on PC and Red Dead Online has this huge life now, and J-Law and Heavy Handswings play it a lot, I think that's fantastic. Number 8, Overwatch. What a great shooter. What a great multiplayer shooter. Still has a lot of life in it. They took Team Fortress 2 and they built upon it and made it better. And I'm still not playing a lot of it lately, but that can be said for most of these games on this list. I mean, some of these games are pretty old. Number 7, Portal 2. Love the story in that game. 6 hours of flawless campaign. The co-op in it's fantastic, and the Steam Workshop support is incredible. There are thousands of levels you can go play right now. And the game is $1 on Steam. If you don't have it, get it. Number 6, Bad Company 2. My favorite Battlefield game of all time. One of my favorite multiplayer shooters of all time. Good sense of humor. Great visceral. The sound design in that game is still better than any other Battlefield game ever made. And being able to destroy buildings and everything was game changing. You could blow out parts of walls in Bad Company 1, but Bad Company 2 had you being able to bring whole buildings down. Erica Harbor is still one of the best multiplayer maps ever. Binding of Isaac Rebirth is number 5. It's a roguelike unlike anything I've ever played before. Zelda dungeons, completely random. I've put 300 or 400 hours into this thing over the past few years. Love it. God of War on the PS4 is my number 4. 20-hour plus campaign, never gets old. Great characters, fantastic voice acting, incredible graphics. It just feels right when you're playing it. It's a fantastic adventure game. Rocket League, number 3. I'm still playing this game all the time. Like, I never stop playing this. Once the game hooked me, it never let its hooks go. And I own this on 3 or 4 different platforms. And then number 2, Skyrim, which we just talked about. What an incredible game. I could still hop in. I have it on Switch. I've got like 10 or 12 hours into it on Switch. I could go grab my Switch right now and play it and be perfectly happy. If I fly to Seattle for my work trips, I'll typically set it up and play Skyrim on my Switch just because you can. All right. Number 1.
What if it's true?
Do I need to remind you what is out there?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed.
I need something smuggled out of the city.
It's just cargo, Joel.
I just want some simple gear, enough to set me on my way.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
It can't be any worse than in here. Can it?
We're shitty people, Joel. It's been that way for a long time.
No, we are survivors.
This is our chance.
It is over, Tess!
What are you so afraid of?
You're treading on some mighty thin ice here.
What do we do?
You make every shot count.
You see, I believe everything happens for a reason.
We don't have to do this. You know that, right?
After all we've been through. Everything that I've done. It can't be for nothing.
I'll get to your question here in just a minute. Heavy hands. This game, I don't want to understate, and I don't want to overstate. I'm going to speak as plainly as I can. The story affected me in ways that no other video game has ever accomplished before. It looks fantastic. Even on the PS3 version, it looks fantastic. On the PS4 remastered, it looks even better. And it runs at a solid 60 frames per second. And the audio design is fantastic. Every weapon, the way they fire, the way ammunition is scarce. It plays like a survival horror game, but it's so much better than that. And I don't want to belittle survival horror games. Survival horror is a great genre. I love survival horror. Alien Isolation, Resident Evil. Do I count some of the ones that where you're underpowered, really underpowered, like Amnesia or Outlast? They're all fantastic. This is a zombie type game, but more of a survival horror than anything else. By the end of this game, you care about these characters. You may not like how it ends, but it's like any other great book that you're reading. You're playing it and making it happen. You can't choose for the character. The writers made a decision. There's no open-ended anything. The ending is what it is, and it earns the ending. I don't want to spoil it. It's a reason to buy a PS4. The Last of Us 2 is coming out in 2020. I will take time off of work to play it. Hands down. There's no question. I will take time off to play it. And I hope it's even close to being as good as this. From an engine perspective, the gameplay that they've already shown looks fantastic. It looks better than this PS4 version does. This remastered version of PS4. I've played through the entire campaign twice. I'm kind of in the middle of a third playthrough. I could play it right now. I could play it tomorrow. I could play it next week. I could play the multiplayer. And it still feels fresh to me. And similar to God of War, it's a 20-hour campaign-ish, and it doesn't get old. You can replay it, and you're just there with these characters. It's lived in. The world, the graphics, all of it is lived in. And it's the best post-apocalyptic game ever made. And I love Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games ever. This is the most realized setting. It is the most realized characters. It is one of the best scripts of any video game ever made in terms of story. And the soundtrack is so amazing. I own the soundtrack, but I need the second, like the volume 2, which has a couple of songs on it that are in the game that aren't in the first soundtrack. It made me mad when I bought it. There's the music that plays on the main menu, or is it in a different part that isn't on the first? I need to buy volume 2. I just need to buy it and get it. Joel and Ellie's relationship and the way it grows throughout the game, it's so organic, and I cannot recommend this game enough. It's been out long enough and it's had enough great reviews. I think everyone should know about this game by now. It's console only, and that's one of the only drawbacks. But in this day and age, you don't need every console, right? A Switch is great. If you can get a portable Switch, well, portable Switch, they're all portable, dummy. One of the Switch Lites, I held one. A coworker friend of mine had one, and I played it, and I played around with it, and it's a perfect size to travel with. If you had one of those for $199 or cheaper, they've had a sale for $179 if you got it on Amazon Prime recently. You can play all the Nintendo games if you're into Zelda, if you're into Mario and Pokemon, and then get a PS4. Doesn't have to be a Pro. Pro is great, but it doesn't even have to be, because this game runs at 60 frames even on a standard PS Amateur, as my friend says, PS4 Amateur, as my buddy says. And then PC, because everything that's on Microsoft is coming to PC first party. So Gears of War 5, all those, you can play them day and date on PC. So there you go. If you want to be in the know on everything, get yourself a cheap Switch, get yourself an old used PS4, and pick this game up. It's usually on sale for $9.99, the remastered version on PS4. You can play it on PS3, but it runs better, and there's DLC, which, by the way, there's about 3 hours of post-game DLC that is called Left Behind, and where you're playing as the girl there, Ellie. It takes place before the game starts, but there's things that you have to finish the campaign first. Don't play it before the campaign. It is as good as the main game, but different. And it's one of the best pieces of DLC I've ever played. Oh, God, talking about this right now makes me want to go back and play it right now. I'm in awe of what they accomplished with this game. They took risks, and they all paid off, every single one of them. So, all right, Heavy Hand Swings, I want to answer your question before you go, because you're AFK. Siege did not make my list. I would say Siege is more of a... Siege to me is a honorable mention. And I say that because it could have made my list. The way they've supported that game over the years has been fantastic. It's a great game. I still play a ton of it, as you know. But playing it by yourself isn't very enjoyable. It's just not. I wish it was. It's not. It's not a fun game to play by yourself. All of these games on my list are games that you don't have to have other people around to play and enjoy. Bad Company 2 is better with friends. Overwatch is better with friends. And Rocket League is better with friends. But all of those games are still fun by yourself. I don't mind playing solo queuing in Overwatch. Solo queuing in Rainbow Six Siege is not a fun experience. And that's by design. I mean, the game is hard. It's a super hardcore game. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And PUBG was number 1 on my list that year. But PUBG was number 1 on my list at that time because it was... I could see how innovative it was going to be. And we put 250 hours into it that year. That game has not aged well. It is so creaky, and it shows its age right now. PUBG in 2019 is a terrible experience, and you know it. You know this. And I said earlier on this list that games that have aged well are what are on this list. So you could argue that maybe Far Cry 3 comes off, or Red Dead 2, or maybe even Portal or Overwatch, and I replace it with Siege. I could have done that, and maybe if I made the list a week before I made this, maybe that would have happened. Another one on my honorable mention would be Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which I believe came out in 2010. Hey Google. Hey Google. When did Assassin's Creed Brotherhood come out? 2011. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood could have probably been on this list as well. I played the hell out of the campaign. I loved it. The setting of Rome. It's my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is a close second, but this one, it was the one that it made me want to go to Rome and see Rome as it is today because I spent so much time playing that game. But the multiplayer felt like a kind of watered down version of Spies vs. Mercs from the Splinter Cell series. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I didn't really care for it. I liked that they were trying something. It didn't work for me. I'd rather have played Spies vs. Mercs. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a very good game. I didn't finish it because it's so big. The other thing is, it's so CPU intensive, I can't stream it and play it at the same time. So I have maybe 15 or 20 hours. I have a little over 20 hours in Odyssey. Never finished it. I didn't finish a third of that game. There came a point, and I want to say it was probably after Assassin's Creed 4, where every Assassin's Creed game had to be bigger than the last. And it wasn't so much about being better, it was bigger. The story stopped making any sense after Brotherhood. Well, Revelations was the last one that had a story that they were trying to have some sort of a semblance of a story that's cohesive. They just threw all that out. And Odyssey is my favorite of the games after Black Flag. Syndicate was okay. Unity was broken at launch, but it got a little bit better. It was cool being able to run around in Notre Dame and all that stuff in Paris was cool, but Odyssey's a good game. I never played Origins, although I should pick it up while it's cheap on it's on the Epic store. But it just plays in Uplay anyway, so that's why I chose those games. You have 500 hours in PUBG. I've got like 270. It's just not a fun game anymore. It hasn't aged well, and that's why I left PUBG off the list. Although it is super influential, and Battle Royale games are fantastic. Alright, so that's my list. Let's take one more look at my top 10. Oh my god, that's going to blind everyone. Let's not do that. Alright, we'll flip it to the desktop view. And there it is. There's my top 10. So, that's it. I'm done. I hope y'all enjoyed my list. If you want to debate it, hit me up on Twitter. Or don't. But, that's my list. So I hope you enjoyed it. What's on your list? Let me know. Until I see you next time, have a good one.